Hey, welcome in, everyone. Amazing day of college football, of course. You all know that. You've been watching all day. Just ridiculous games, great results, big results, and we will get right to it as soon as possible. We, of course, want to get to your phone calls. We've got two callers on the line, and the links both in the description section of this video, and it's also there in the chat. So please give me a call. Let's talk college football. So we want to get right to the scores. Then we want to get to your calls. We want to get to your comments and questions. Give me 60 seconds of your time right now to clarify something that has nothing to do with college football necessarily, but has a lot to do with this channel and with this show. So just give me 60 seconds. Then we'll dive right into the football because I want to clarify something. So each night I get on this late night show and I post a banner that says something like this. And somebody's been playing with the colors, and that pisses me off. Do not play with the colors of the banners. Our show colors are red and black. Okay. Anyway, so I post something like that, which typically says after an hour for extended coverage and for the live stream to continue, that we need a certain level of donations. So somebody had commented, I'm not going to post the comment, and I understand the comment because if you've are coming across our show for the first time and you think this nitwit wants $150 and he just said that he didn't even watch these games last night. So this is pertaining last night's show. I was out all night, didn't see the two games, was not going to broadcast last night, decided to go ahead because I had things to say about Miami and Nebraska. I came on here. We had a great show. Thanks to all of you. And, I posted this because we've gone overtime every time during the course of the week. So I completely understand if somebody does not understand what we've delivered through the years, who we are, what we do, that sort of thing, and they just come across this and think this nitwit did not watch either one of these games. He comes on here. He has the gall and the audacity to command $150 for a second hour. Who is he? I get it. I responded to this individual. And so for anybody else that sees this and thinks, what is going on here? This does not seem right, or this doesn't seem ethical, or this just doesn't, of course, ethics are not into play. People pay a whole lot more for live streams than this. However, here's the deal for anybody that's wondering. So I guarantee that we have delivered more live and recorded content of college football on this channel than any channel in existence. I guarantee it. If not, please send the link to the channel. I'm talking about through the years. Okay, here's the deal currently. We do 6 shows here, national shows, Monday through Saturday. We do 6 shows for at least an hour. Typically, we spill over an hour. So there's 6 hours there. Plus, I do 5 other shows: Iowa, Florida State, Miami, Ohio State, and somebody else I'm forgetting. 5 other shows, Big Ten show. 5 other shows, that's 5 hours. So 11, quote unquote, free hours. So if I do not earn a penny, that's at least 11 hours of live streams per week. That number used to be much higher. But this channel and this network does not support me. I, in fact, support the channel and the network. So if you've noticed in the last 6 months or so, no videos, not as much content, not as many live streams, but we still probably produce as many live streams or more than anybody else, even with that, because I have had to turn my attention to other work and other businesses to make a buck. Therefore, this is just on the side gravy, trying to build this, which we've been trying to do for 15 years. So for anybody that's asking, that's the deal. We provide more free content than anyone. That is additional. And no, it's not 30 minutes tonight. We will be on for a lot longer than that. So I just wanted to clarify that. I do understand that somebody would be critical of that if they stumbled across us, as this commenter did apparently for the first time on Friday night. But you guys that watch us for a long time and understand the deal. Okay, let's get to the scoreboard. I love going through all the scores, and here they are. And I feel like the college football day just kind of passed me by, even though I had it on all day. Regardless, here we go. I believe you can all see that. No, you can't. New Mexico leads Nevada at home 14-12 at halftime. Lafayette and Oregon State in a 13-10 game. That's how bad it's become at Oregon State. They are losing by 3 points at halftime to Lafayette. Just fired their coach, Trent Bray, this week, 0-7. Look at that. Can you imagine if that score holds? Then I will be ripping Florida State to shreds. Mike Norvell may not be around on Monday. Stanford 13, Florida State 3. Florida State's an 18-point favorite. Missouri just concluded a win at Auburn on the Plains 23-17 in overtime. Ohio State over Wisconsin 34-0. Michigan State and Indiana Hoosiers win 38-13. Texas A&M 45, Arkansas 42. Ole Miss loses at Georgia. They blow a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter, 43-35. Bama, too much for Tennessee, 37-20. Texas Tech loses its first game. Arizona State wins 26-22. Oregon, way too much for Rutgers, 56-10. Vandy wins at home against LSU, 31-24. Big game in the ACC. Georgia Tech stays undefeated. They defeat Duke 27-18. Notre Dame 34, USC 24. Oklahoma defeats South Carolina 26-7. BYU wins the Holy War over Utah 24-21. Virginia, big game, big win, and they stay with just one loss after defeating Washington State at home 22-20. South Florida, too much for FAU, 48-13. Texas needed overtime to defeat Kentucky, and we'll talk about Kentucky's awful play calling at the goal line later, 16-13. Memphis loses its first game against UAB, 31-24. Cincinnati continues to roll. They defeat Oklahoma State, 49-17. Michigan, 24, Washington 7. UConn defeats Boston College, 38-23. Big game in the Big 12. Houston wins over Arizona. The Cougars don't look now. They are still 6-1, 31-28. Baylor, TCU, Horned Frogs, 42-36. Tulane defeats Army, 24-17. Central Michigan, too much for Bowling Green, 27-6. Miami, 44. Eastern Michigan, 30. West Virginia takes it on the chin against UCF in Orlando, 45-13. Kent State loses at Toledo, 45-10. Buffalo over UMass, 28-21. Northwestern defeats Purdue, shuts out the Boilermakers, 19-0. Troy 37, ULM 14. Clemson loses again to SMU, 35-24. Air Force on top of Wyoming, 24-21. UNLV goes to Boise State, takes it on the chin, 56-31. App State and Coastal Carolina, Chanticleers win, 45-37. We've got James Madison on top of Old Dominion, 63-27. Texas State and Marshall. And the Thundering Herd, 40-37. Temple 49, Charlotte 14. Akron goes to Ball State. Cardinals win 42-28. Ohio over Northern Illinois 48-21. We got North Texas 55, UTSA 17. We've got Florida squeaking by Mississippi State in the swamp 23-21. Southern Miss on top of Louisiana 22-10. Iowa ekes past Penn State at Kinnick 25-24. UCLA with a late field goal defeats Maryland 20-17. Bruins 3 straight wins. Hawaii, much rejoicing in the chat, I'm sure, defeats Colorado State 31-19 in Fort Collins. And the final 2 scores on the night, we got Georgia Southern over Georgia State. Big rivalry there, 41-24. Pitt defeats Syracuse at the Dome 30-13. Let's take the calls. Here we go. Michigan man in first. Yes, sir. What's going on tonight?
Hey, what's up, Mark? How are you?
There we go. I got you. Yes, sir. Michigan man.
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah. What's up?
Hey, man. So I thought that was the most complete game. Ron Morris coach today. There's still some things that I'm picky about. But what were your overall thoughts on like how Michigan looked?
Yeah, I thought they looked really good. I have seen Damon Williams play better, but I would pin most of that on the Michigan defense. I watched the whole game. Their rush defense was strong against Jonah Coleman. He did next to nothing. He broke out a couple times, but not for anything damaging. They had one drive, Washington. I know that they had less than 250 yards of total offense in that game. Uh, to play that game without Evan Link at one point, it was lost at left tackle. Obviously, Justice Haynes did not play, and there were nitpicky things that I could bring up, like why are you throwing a little toss pass to Samaj Morgan on 4th and 1, the guy that drops more passes than
Yep.
anyone?
I was
What
gonna
was
say
that?
it. Yeah, I was gonna say if I had any nitpicks, it'd be the blitzing of linebackers, leaving the middle of the field wide open,
Okay.
and it would be at least the screen passes. I think they need to stop doing that and do more simulated zone pressures. That's one. Two, Samaj Morgan got to get benched. Mark, he needs to be benched. I mean, the guy's got the most drop passes on the year. Do you think he needs to be benched?
Well, I just thought it was such a contrast of ability when Michigan can't toss a football like you would toss to a 5-year-old to Samaj Morgan on a 4th and 1. First of all, they were lining up from the spread, and I thought, I know it's a full yard. It's not like, a 6-inch kind of play where you just push it across. So I understand it's a full yard, but as soon as I saw the ball going in his direction, I thought, and sure enough, he's wide open and drops it. And then Washington comes back in the very next play, and you see what competent wide receiver play looks like when they heave it 50 yards to Denzel Boston, and he's in double coverage, and he tracks the ball 50 yards and leaps up and catches it.
Well, my problem is you clearly have a guy that's breaking out in Andrew Marsh. So why
Yeah.
aren't you having him? Why aren't you having him do that?
Yeah.
Look, Andrew Marsh, he's the first receiver that actually pops off the screen for Michigan since we gotta go way back, Mark. But he's going to be something.
Mm-hmm.
So besides that, I don't really have too many complaints about the game. I like to talk about some other games because I mean, outside of I guess at this point Indiana and Ohio State, everybody's mid, Mark. Everybody's just middle of the pack to me. I mean, Alabama's, they're kind of putting it together, but there is no one that stands out really besides Indiana and Ohio State right now. Would you agree with that?
It certainly seems like it. Now I'm watching Georgia and Ole Miss, and it makes for an exciting game, but when they can't tackle or cover anyone and they just score that many points and these offenses are unstoppable, and I know that they're not that good. I think the SEC has turned into this league where there are a lot of good teams, but they were the teams that were finishing 3rd and 4th behind Alabama and Georgia 5 to 10 years ago and finishing 9 and 3, 10 and 2. And there's a lot of them, and they're good, but there are as of right now, no elite teams in the SEC, it appears.
Yeah, and speaking of Georgia, they're the inverse of what they've been. Their defense is
Yeah.
Their defense is not that good this year, Mark.
No.
And their offense is actually scoring tons of points this year. It's the complete inverse of their championship teams.
Yeah, absolutely. But those championship teams at least had capable offenses.
Yeah, those are some of the best championship teams ever. But I mean, in terms of identity, though, I'm more zeroing in on the identity. Like they have to like get into these shootouts now to win games. It's just wild to see. Penn State loses again. How far are they going to tumble?
Tumble. Where can they tumble now? They're pretty much at the bottom.
What's their remaining schedule?
They're 0 and 4 in the conference, and they still have to play Ohio State and Indiana.
Hey, I think Urban Meyer might go there.
Well, they got 5 games left. I know they got Ohio State, Indiana. They got Maryland and Rutgers, I believe. Regardless of what their schedule is,
none of them are guaranteed wins either.
Well, no, they're not.
That's crazy. That's crazy to say. To even think about it. That's where we're at with Penn State.
Oh,
What
I
a fall
know.
from grace.
They are the biggest surprise of the season, no doubt. Florida State's losing by 10 points right now. It's Stanford.
And by the way, Stanford's terrible.
Yeah.
So it goes back to my point, Mark. Like, I don't even want to say this as a Michigan fan, but should we start placing bets on Ohio State to go back to back at this point? I just it's like who's going to challenge them? No one's really, no one's really.
Yeah, but it just takes one game. Like, I don't want you to go sell your mortgage or something on Ohio State. They do look like the best team, and they'd have a heck of a game against Indiana right now, you would think. But
Yeah, you
yeah, look
would.
at
For
Texas
sure.
tonight. They almost lost to Kentucky.
I don't think Texas is that good, Mark. I just don't think they're just not that good of a team to me.
Texas A&M appears to be pretty good, but still they struggled with Arkansas. Yeah, it's a wide open deal. It appears to be, but I would expect similar teams, familiar teams, to be there at the end in the Final Four.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, I'm gonna get out of here, Mark. Go blue, and I don't think we've seen this many upsets in a long. I think this might be this year might set the record for upsets, Mark. I'm not even playing. I have to go through. I probably have to go through it, but it might be that year.
Okay, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I know it appears that way. But I've gone through the scores every week. I've yet to do it this week, and we will do it. We just obviously did go through the scores, but in regards to how many upsets, there are usually, this is like clockwork, folks, 4 or 5 upsets among power conference teams every week. There's about 4 or 5. And this has been going on for years. It almost hits 4 or 5. I bet if we go through the power conference games right now, and I will do that during our next call, I bet there were 4 to 5 upsets. All right, Michael stopping by. Michael, what's going on? Your team didn't score today.
No, they went 100 yards backwards today.
Yeah, when I saw that score, I got to say I was rather surprised that your team put up a fight against Purdue,
They fought
against Illinois to a certain extent, or against Minnesota and in Illinois to a certain extent, and to get shut out by Northwestern.
Is Northwestern really better than people think?
Probably. Yeah, they are.
Okay. Hey,
Are they good? No, they're not good, but they're better than people think.
Yeah, I got to ask you this. Who's more likely not to win another game the rest of the year, Purdue or Penn State? Because right now I'm thinking both.
I know we've looked at your schedule a zillion times. Indiana.
If they don't get a win next week against Rutgers, it's gonna be 2-10 this year.
Okay. I would say I have more faith in Penn State winning a game just because they're a more talented team. And by the looks of tonight's score, I did not see the game. The game was on Peacock. Didn't watch one play. Know nothing about what happened except I saw the final score. They obviously competed if they only lost by 1 point at Iowa. So they're still trying with a backup quarterback thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're obviously they put a decent effort out there tonight.
Yeah, and I got to tip the cap to you about what you said about Ohio State. They could easily put up the 45 piece against Wisconsin State, but they only scaled it down to like 17 game season, which I'm surprised a lot of teams do that though. But of the 4 upsets, say which one surprised you the most so far?
What game today?
Of the 4 top teams that lost, which one surprised you the most?
The 4 top teams that lost. Miami.
The 4 top 10.
Well, who would that be? That would be Miami lost. Texas Tech lost.
I had it too.
4 top 10 teams lost. Ole Miss lost. That obviously was not a surprise. not much surprises me. I picked Texas Tech to win, but besides that, I picked those other games.
Okay.
I
I'm
picked
just
LSU.
wondering.
Well, was LSU in the 10? They weren't.
Yeah,
in the 10.
they was 10th.
Okay. Yeah, they were an underdog, technically.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm not going to do the Heisman because I know how you don't like the Heisman. It's too early and stuff like that. But
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about, Michael. Talk
I'm
about the Heisman.
going to get a little bit of Ohio State fans upset at me, and I don't want you to really ban me from the channel and them throw me to the wolves. But I tell you this, Mark, between Indiana and Ohio State, I think Indiana's got the slight edge.
Okay. Why?
It's just, yeah, I mean, like, look, they shut out Ohio State shut out Wisconsin State, but it's just something about mostly about their offense and stuff like that with the defense. Yeah, they gave up the what was it, the 20 points or something like that. But it's just like with IU's I will give credit for Ohio State for its own defense. They're the creme de la creme. But it's something like with IU's defense though. Even though they gave up a bunch of points today, it just seems like they just get there and make the plays when they need to. And with Ohio State's offense, I think it's a much better system right now with Mendoza. And yes, he is my Heisman favorite right now. And saying would probably be it's like 1 and 1A. Now I know you're getting ready to rip me to shreds, so go ahead.
I'm not going to rip you to shreds. You've got every right to believe that Indiana is a better team than Ohio State. I don't know who's better. We'll most likely get to see them play. Now, I think Ohio State's better. I just think that they're a more talented roster. I think that they are better than Indiana. They are a touchdown better than Indiana in my estimation. But if they play tomorrow and Indiana won, would I be surprised? No. I would not be surprised. I think it's idiotic for people like RG3 to vote Indiana number 1 based on them beating Illinois by more points than Ohio State did.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
That's kind of stupid, but is every right to vote them number 1. I have no issue with Indiana being selected number 1 in the country by whomever. Yeah, you can have whatever opinion you want, and as long as it's reasonable. Like if you called tonight and said you thought that despite the results, Purdue was the best football team in the country, well, then that's completely delusional and irrational. But when you say Indiana's the best team in the country, sure, they look it.
Okay, can I retract my statement I said about the Heisman Trophy? Yeah, I know I'm saying in Mendoza probably, but I hope someone, if it's not a quarterback this year, I hope, and I'm definitely not a Notre Dame fan, but I think Love's got to have some major consideration.
Well, we would have to look at his entire season. I think you might be falling into recency bias. He did not have a good game against Miami in week 1. I know that.
Sure.
But we would have to look at it top to bottom. Obviously, he was dominant tonight.
Yeah, like 220 yards rushing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, just is wondering stuff like that. It did sorry about that. There was just ambulances went by outside, but no, I was just wondering stuff like that. But no, that's my stuff like that. Hopefully, if they don't get past Rutgers, it's gonna be like I understand Purdue's gonna be rebuilding and it was competitive, but tonight they was not competitive. It's like the offense didn't even come up, make the trip to Evanston. But who are you gonna be more on the chopping block with? Mike Norvell or Mike Locksley? Because I see a lot of people want Mike Locksley on the chopping block too.
Mike Norvell. Not even close.
And what is it with Billy Napier?
What is it with him? He won tonight.
Yes, I know. And they're still booing him and want him out of there. It's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, he can't control the booing. But he needs to be dismissed as the coach of Florida. He's been there for 4 years and they've not gotten any better. So that's the bottom line there. You're the head coach at the University of Florida. You took over a team that was 6-7 the year before you got there, and you're no better. You're probably worse. So he should be fired. Yes.
Yeah. I tried to send you a message last night to tell you don't waste your time on the games last night because they was not good games to watch. the Minnesota and Nebraska game, and I can't remember the other one, but those were not good games to watch last night.
You don't think Miami and Louisville 24-21
No.
was a good game to watch?
No, that was a good game to watch. I was talking about the Nebraska, Minnesota,
Okay.
because that was a sleeper. And how good is Pittsburgh right now, anyway, in your opinion? And is will they be able to hang with Notre Dame? And how is it Notre Dame
No.
How is it they start off so bad and end the season so well?
Who?
Notre Dame.
They lost to Miami on the road on the last play of the game, and they lost by 1 point on a
Basically on the last
AT
play.
snap to Texas A&M. I don't know that they started off that poorly.
No,
Go
ahead.
You know what? They're playing worse teams. That's why they've gotten better. They're playing worse teams. They're not playing Miami and Texas A&M anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing North Carolina State and Purdue. USC is the best team that they've played.
Mm-hmm. Not bad. Now, was you surprised that Arkansas gave Texas A&M a run for the money tonight?
No, I think they lose that game by one score almost every year. That's
Mhm.
usually a very difficult game for Texas A&M, even though they win it every year, 13 out of 14. No, I'm not surprised. I am a little angry because I took Texas A&M to cover the spread, and Arkansas scored with 10 seconds left in the game to cut it from 10-3. That's what I'm upset with.
Sorry, sir.
That's all right.
That's like with a lot of people who, with the IU Michigan State game, how they kicked the backdoor field goal. Because I think the spread was like, 28? Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, Michigan State kicked a field goal? Did they?
Yep.
Yeah, I got screwed by USC. They had a 9.5 point line, and they lost by 10. And what was the other half-point loss? I had 3 half-point losses today. Terrible.
Yeah, not bad. And I got to ask you this, with Memphis losing today, that pretty much put South Florida back in the driver's seat for the at-large?
I don't think anyone's in the driver's seat because those teams have to play each other, and they're going to be – whoever wins that conference is going to be the group of 5 rep. I'm almost certain of that.
Okay.
So Memphis, South Florida, Navy, who am I missing? Tulane. All those teams have to play each other. Now, they don't all play each other, but whatever games are scheduled between them, and there's quite a few, they have to. They're going to be playing here just in the next couple weeks.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, Mark, again, thank you for helping me out this week. I really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, Michael.
All right, thanks for letting me get on the soapbox for too long.
Have a good one.
Boiler up. God bless, man. See ya.
All right, Michael Hogue checking in. Okay. Now, we go through this almost every year where everybody thinks, or I'm sorry, not everybody, a lot of people believe like, oh, this is the craziest season ever. Da, 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 da. Okay. I go through these scores every week, and I keep track of upsets. And I've noticed this in predicting these games. There are 4 to 5 upsets every week. You could bank on it. You can bank on it. 4 to 5 is the sweet spot. Now, trying to determine and find the upsets, that's the problem. But I'm telling you, 4 to 5 upsets. So based on my calculations and looking at the scores tonight, oh, hang on just a second. Yes. I thought there were only 3, but I forgot about Friday's games. Yes, here we go. It's like clockwork, people. Out of power conference teams this weekend, here we go. It's like clockwork. You can do this every week. 5 upsets. There are 4 to 5 every week. This week, Arizona State plus 11.5, BYU plus 3.5, SMU plus 5, Minnesota plus 8.5, Louisville plus 12.5. 5 upsets this week. You know what? Next week, there's going to be 4 or 5 upsets. Last week, there were 4 or 5 upsets. The week before, 4 or 5 upsets. These games are no more crazy than they always are. We could go back 5 years. I could pull up the scores from 5 years ago. Go through the power conference games. There would be 4 or 5 upsets every week. All right, welcome in the voice of college football. We got Rob on the line.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, sorry, I'm probably a little bit buzzed right now, but I had an awesome time tonight. Yeah, it was what an awesome game, huh? I mean, I don't know if you watched it. I know you said you were thinking about watching that game, but I gotta say, I was sitting there at the bar with my buddy, and man, we were just having a lot of fun. I mean, and I got to admit, Notre Dame got away with some penalties in the beginning of the game. There was a face mask against them that should have been called. There was probably a pass interference on, I think, Christian Gray that should have been called that wasn't. But the refs then more than made up for it later in the game with a couple ticky-tack defensive penalties on Notre Dame. So it kind of balanced out at the end, but hell of a game. A lot of people were saying Irish were going to lose this game, and, they didn't have what it takes. USC just smashed Michigan last week. How about Michigan? I mean, they went on to smash Washington. I was not expecting that. I definitely thought Washington was going to win that game. Props to Michigan, I guess, pulling it up and maybe making the game this year more interesting than I thought it was going to be. But, obviously, I still think Ohio State's going to win that game. But, yeah, for now, I'm just super hyped. Notre Dame's playoff chances are still alive, and what a fun game. And I hope this is not the last game in this series, Mark, because – these two teams, these two jerseys, these two uniforms, they need to be on the field every year, man.
Amen. They do. They do. During the game, you may have seen Todd Blackledge listed his 6 must-see, must-happen, must-never-end rivalries.
Yeah.
And this is one of them.
Yeah, I'd say
I agree with his list.
Yeah, the Iron Bowl, the Red River Shootout, Notre Dame-USC, the game, obviously, probably the biggest one. Those are like 4 rivalries that need to stay in the game no matter what. So I really hope that, Notre Dame and USC can get their act together and get this thing locked up, because the way Notre Dame just signed this big rivalry with Clemson, man, I don't know, man. Clemson looks like they're kind of falling on their face here recently. And not to say that, obviously that's a good program. I think Dabo can maybe bounce back, but what a disappointing year for Clemson. I mean, the Clemson rivalry is not going to be. It's not the same, Mark. I would greatly miss USC Notre Dame every year, so I just hope this thing gets worked out.
Yeah, there's no comparison between Clemson and Notre Dame and USC.
Yeah.
No.
What's your favorite? I mean, obviously your favorite rivalry is probably the game, but what's your second favorite rivalry? I don't think I've ever asked you that, or I don't know if I've ever heard you say what that is.
Favorite rivalry. You could probably get a different response out of me about 10 different times during the year, but right this second, and this is not recency bias since we just watched it, but I have stated many times, there's no question that Notre Dame and USC is the number 1 cross-sectional rivalry in the nation. It's not even close. I really don't have an answer for you because I don't have a second favorite rivalry. But if you, let's put it this way, we could change it to this. Maybe this answers your question. If I could only protect one rivalry, wow, I may protect that one.
Yeah, it's really a shame. I mean, I get it. I mean, I'm a realist, Mark. I see USC. They're like, look, we're in the Big Ten. There's going to be years where we play Ohio State and Michigan, or like Ohio State, Oregon, or Ohio State, Penn State, whatever it might be. So we don't need to add Notre Dame into the mix to add another tough, like, non-conference game. But at the same time, here's the thing, Mark. If you let's say you lose against Ohio State, like you split Ohio State, Michigan, right? So you're 1-1 against your top 2 games, but then you've got that Notre Dame game in the bag. You win that one, that's another big win on your resume. So it's a double-edged sword. I mean, it could be great for you or it could be bad for you. So I mean, I don't know. I think this. I get USC's point of view. I get Lincoln Riley, but this is one of those rivalries that tradition just has to try to find a way to win out, because we lose another big rivalry like this in college football. It's just it's just a loss, Mark. And I was going to love this game no matter who won, but obviously I'm happier that Notre Dame ended up pulling out the W, even though they played a pretty sloppy game. Both teams really kind of played a sloppy game tonight, but it was a fun game. It was a hell of a fun game. I was props to Alabama fan there in the chat. What's he at here? I kind of missed it here, but where's he at? I just saw him. Anyways, Alabama. Yeah, there we go. Dave E. Roll Tide roll. Yeah, Tide looked pretty good. I mean, I was watching that game while I was watching the Notre Dame game, and I thought Tennessee, they had a little bit going there for a minute, but then the Tide just kind of rolled over them. So great game for the Tide. I think they're definitely one of the hottest teams in the college football landscape right now. Ohio State obviously crushing Wisconsin, though I think we all saw that coming. I'm gonna give myself a little pat on the back, Mark. I called USC or not USC. I called LSU losing to Vanderbilt. That I said that was going to happen. It did. A&M won. I mean, Miami kind of, they kind of disappointed me a little bit. Carson Beck reverting back to his 2024 form. That'll happen. But Ole Miss losing to Georgia, called that one. So yeah, feeling pretty good about my picks this week. Well, how would you rate this week on an enjoyment factor, Mark, for you personally?
Well, I thought it was high. Yes.
Yeah.
Thought it was very high. I watched LSU and Vandy. That was an entertaining game. I watched Ole Miss and Georgia, start to finish, entertaining game, very entertaining game. USC and Notre Dame. The only thing I missed there was I missed the third quarter. I was on the phone with a friend that called, and it was at halftime. And so I flipped away to whatever nondescript game it was. I don't remember, just to fill the time, because I don't like to be watching commercials or halftime shows. So I always go to another game, and I just kind of lost track of time, and I'm watching this other game. And I flipped back to USC Notre Dame, and I missed it was the start of the fourth quarter. It was 27-24. And I thought, man, I missed the entire third quarter. But anyway, I watched the rest of the game. It was a great game. I don't know what USC. I was a bit disappointed. Not that I had a rooting interest. My only rooting interest was I had USC in 9.5 points, and obviously I got screwed by a half a point. But I've got no money on the line. I'm just making a prediction. But with that USC trick play at midfield with about 5 or 6 minutes left in the game, where the wide receiver, I think it was Makai Lemon.
Yep.
He tried to. He's trapped. He's in a bear hug. He's like 12 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He's not a quarterback.
No.
And to think that it would be better for me to try to throw a pass downfield than just protect the football is just insane.
I felt so bad for him, because that guy is, if he doesn't win the Biletnikoff award this year, I'm going to be surprised. He is just lighting people up, and he was a terror in that first. I mean, USC marched down the field in like 45 seconds to a minute and scored on their opening drive, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Notre Dame better buckle in, because they're but and they did. But he's a stud, man. Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane for USC are awesome. But that was a terrible play call, in my opinion. You don't try to get tricksy when you're moving the ball so efficiently as USC was doing at that point in the game. And that just kind of derailed the momentum. And I think what you missed in that third quarter, Mark, when you were on the phone, is USC pulled ahead for the first time in a while. And then immediately after, they kick off, and Jadarian Price runs the kickoff back for a touchdown and just stole the momentum right back. It was an awesome moment. What an awesome game. And if this is the last game of this storied rivalry, I hate to lose this, because I respect USC as a good opponent, and obviously a historic program, amazing matchups, the uniforms, the helmets. I'm going to miss this rivalry if this is indeed the end, but what a game for the last game if this is truly the end. What an awesome day of college football. And I had a lot of fun with it. I got to say, maybe had a few too many beers, but I'm back home safe now, so that's all that matters.
Rob, you've got a right to ramble tonight. That's a big win, and it's a huge rivalry. And you're right; it needs to be played.
And Rob, I would say I got one more thing, Mark. Well, two more things, I guess. I'll say if anybody doesn't think Ohio State's the number one team in the country right now, I don't know what you're thinking, because they obviously, Wisconsin's not a good team, but Ohio State has just not been challenged at any point in this season. They're the only team. And for a minute there, I thought Miami might be contending with them, but Miami dropped the bag, and they proved that they're susceptible to losing to another good team. I mean, right now, Ohio State, they're just the dog, the king of the crop right now. And then the other thing, Mark, I threw a super chat out there for you because I want to support you. I love you. Always fun talking to you. I love this community. And I'm going to get off now, and I'm going to probably get a good night's sleep like a baby tonight. So
Thanks a lot, Rob. Congratulations.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
Thanks. Yep.
Great to hear from Rob. Thank you so much for the contribution. Appreciate that. And yeah, I saw the orange, and it's all a blur to me at this point, but thank you, Rob, for that. I will post that in just a second. Sometimes when particular callers, and it happened this time, go on rants, I'm collecting in my mind like talking points and things that I want to say. And once it hits about 7 or 8, they start to leak out. And that's exactly what happened there. I had about 10 talking points to follow up on, and they're gone. They're gone, except for number one. Yeah, if you're going to ask me to rank rivalries, that's one thing. I will do that any day of the week. I will rank rivalries. I'm not going to sit here and do it now because we got too much football to talk about. That's like a discussion for May, to rank rivalries. But I'm sure I've got videos out there ranking rivalries. I have produced so many videos. I've forgotten how many videos I produced. It's like 15,000 on this channel alone. So there are videos that I see now that come up from time to time that I even forgot that I have had guests on this show that I've seen them and I don't even remember their face or that they even exist. And that's not a knock on them. It's just how the brain works. So anyway, people in the chat had mentioned the Army-Navy game as being the one that should be protected. It's above all others. Okay. Yes, I totally agree with you, but I agree with it so much that I don't even consider that. When I rank the rivalries in college football, I don't even put Army and Navy in the same classification with everyone else. I think that that's completely sacred, different. It's not about football first and foremost, about the talent on the field. Nothing to do with any of that. I just put it in a completely separate category. Don't even rank it among Texas, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Michigan, USC, UCLA, USC, Notre Dame, etc. Totally different category for Army Navy. That's how much I cherish that game. Boy, yeah, I had like 10 talking points in my head, and they're all gone except for that one. All right, we will move on to the next call, but we'll take Rob's super chat here. Mark, thank you for all that you do for the college football community. You are my favorite content creator for college football, and it's not close. Always love your analysis and takes on the game we all love. Go Irish. Well, Rob, considering how I view all of that, I do appreciate that, because we're not doing the job here at the Voice of College Football that we would like to be doing. And I am much better than this. But my attention and focus is elsewhere these days, and we have done much better work in the past. So I appreciate everyone who is still here with us. Believe me, I do. And again, given the resources and the time, yeah, we do believe that we could deliver it better than anyone. All right, we got Minnesota Dave driving by. Minnesota Dave, what's going on tonight?
Mark, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, it was a nice, relaxing day when you don't have to worry about your team.
I didn't have to worry about my team either.
Yeah, well, yeah. When you're playing the Badgers, you don't have to worry about Ohio. You don't have to worry about. No one has to worry about the Badgers. They're just that bad. But yeah, what a lot of good games. I had a lot of fun watching them. A little bit of a worry for the American Conference. You kind of don't want to see, as the conference as a whole, you don't want to see Memphis lose. And that was an interesting game because they got down to the 1-yard line, got called for jumping off sides, and then got down back to the 1-yard line, got called again for jumping off sides, and then 3 passes of incomplete passes, and they ended up losing the game. And good for Alabama Birmingham. That was a big upset for them.
Yes.
They're a struggling program, for a G5 school.
Okay, Dave, I got to go back to your first comment. Why do we care? Like, for the neutral college football fan, why do we care that Memphis lost?
Well, I don't
Why
really
is that a
know.
bad thing?
It's not a bad thing. It's bad if you're a fan of those schools.
Well, sure. Well, we could say that about every team that lost today. It's bad for them.
It's just to me that the American Conference, I feel, is right now the best of the G5.
Sure.
And to really show that maybe there's a team out there that maybe could pull off an upset against the 5 seed. It probably could be from the American Conference.
Okay.
I also would like to see like that. I wanted to see both ranked Missouri, no, not Memphis and Florida, Southern Florida.
Okay.
I thought that would be just an interesting game because I think next week they play each other, and it would have been nice to see both undefeated teams go at it.
All right. I don't get it myself, but that I understand. I think that so Boise State, I know that they won big tonight. Let's say they win the Mountain West, or whomever has the best resume right now in the Mountain West wins the Mountain West and don't lose any other games. So we'd have to look that up just to make the comparison. I just think that there would have to be a complete cannibalization within the American Conference for the winner of that conference, because it's proven to be the best G5. It's not even close.
Yeah.
For that team not to advance. So that's why I'm saying I'm not that concerned about various games. And Michael Hogue called earlier, and I'm just kind of pointing out that it doesn't matter where they're ranked right now. Like, these teams have to play each other. Tulane and South Florida, Navy and Memphis, they're almost all playing each other coming up soon.
Oh yeah. Navy has like the meat of their schedule. I think after they play, I think next week they play Florida Atlantic, and then after that it is basically all the teams that have one loss, two losses in the conference right now. And then they also will play Army, but unfortunately, as we all know, that Army and Navy play so late that they don't even count it.
Yes. Which is going to jump up and bite the committee one of these years.
Yeah. It could be this year for all we know, because the Army played pretty good against, I think they played Tulane, and I think Tulane just barely beat them. But anyways, another thing I wanted to ask is, as much as we sometimes crap on Indiana, why don't we all, last year we were kind of crapping on Indiana for having a weak schedule.
Yeah, they did.
And this year, a little bit better, but non-conference wise wasn't all that great.
Horrific is more like it.
But the other one, why don't we, I think there's one overrated SEC school, and that's Missouri. They have escaped every dang time. And I feel bad for Auburn. I just feel bad for their fans. Like, how many times you get screwed over by the refs on calls? They had a pass interference call that should have been called against them. Or should have been called for them against Missouri.
Yeah, I saw it.
And it's like, that totally changed the outcome of the game again. But man, so what do you think of Missouri? I mean, I guess that's my question.
I think Missouri is one of these teams, like another 6 or 8 teams in the SEC, that is one of the 15 to 20 best teams in the country. I think they're a really good team. They're not a great team, but they're a really good team. They only have one loss. They lost to Alabama by 3 points. It was a really good game. They lost at home. It wasn't a down to the wire game. Alabama was up 10 in the fourth quarter, but it was a really competitive, good game. They beat Kansas at home. That was their quote unquote big non-conference game. Now Kansas is nothing great, but yeah, I think Missouri's a good team. I think that if Missouri played the Big Ten, they'd have really good games against Iowa and Illinois and Washington and those kind of teams.
Yeah, I can see that. Hey, why wasn't Washington ranked?
Dave, I am the last person in America to ask anything about the AP poll when I had Washington ranked. So I don't care what the AP says. I had Washington number 18 in the country before this week.
Oh, okay. I mean, I haven't. Your top 25 came out so late. I didn't see it yet.
Yeah, I know. I will not make that mistake again this week. It will come out tomorrow.
All right.
And now it's out there, so I got to do it. Yeah, I can't vouch for or explain the lunacy of the AP voters. Washington's only loss was to Ohio State, and they played rather well in that game. So I don't know.
Yeah. All right, Mark. I'm, just calling this, basically chatting to see what you thought about a couple of the games.
Yeah, well, enjoy that Minnesota win.
I am. My hearing's getting better now, Mark.
When is this? When are they playing Iowa? Do you know when that game is?
I don't know what time it is.
Okay,
but I know it's the next game.
Yes,
and
yes, I'm aware of that.
I think what they're saying, from what I heard, it's either going to be a 2:30 Central Time or an 11 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Central Time game.
All right, Dave. Thanks for being here, man.
All right. Talk to you later, Mark.
Thanks, man. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
That is one of those cases, folks, where I apologize for being a bad broadcaster. I know better than to ask Dave, what time's the game? When's the game? Yeah, that was bad on my part. That just prolongs that. So anyway, we got Muley stopping by. Muley, what's going on?
Hey, Mark. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. First point, yeah, it's American. For Group of 5 representative, it's American. I don't see how it cannot be American, especially with the way USF destroyed Boise State. Now maybe San Diego State may end up winning it. UNLV may come back. I don't care. I'm just going through it right now. I was going through it while you were talking to the last guy, but like Navy still has to play North Texas, USF, and Memphis. USF already beat North Texas, and they still have to play Memphis. And Navy, Tulane would still have to play Memphis. And Tulane actually avoids a lot of those teams. They might be able to squeak by. But yeah, Memphis plays South Florida, Tulane, and Navy. And this team's not in contention, but the next best team, East Carolina, they've had some pretty decent games in the American, so they could, they could maybe upset a team here or two. Point is what you said. I don't see how any other conference can compete for American right now for the Group of 5 representative.
Yeah, the only thing that would make this difficult for the committee is obviously, as we pull up the American Conference schedule, would be if there's a cannibalization and you wind up with, let's say, a 3-loss conference champion, and then you've got the winner of the Mountain West with 1 loss.
Yeah.
that may cause some issues.
Mm-hmm. Which I could definitely see it, but like Tulane, the rest of their schedule is UTSA, Memphis, FAU, Temple, and Charlotte. Now they barely beat Army off like a crazy last minute touchdown, to be fair. And they had I think East Carolina is a decent team in the American, one of the better teams. Like after outside of the top 5 or 6, whatever, they're the next best team. But Tulane, they just got Memphis left to play. They can easily just walk into this game, and in terms of they can easily be like a 1-2 loss team, and then it's like, hey, well, Tulane, you guys still avoided a lot of those teams, and you're still able to be representative. I don't get that. Now they do have a win over Duke, which was another team I was actually going to lead into, but yeah, what do you think about that?
What do I think about what?
About Tulane specifically, because I'm looking at it right now, because USF Navy plays 3 of like the top 4 teams. North Texas already lost to USF, and they play Navy. Okay, so North Texas just has to play Navy, and then the bottom of the yes, North Texas. They already lost to USF, but the only other of the top 5 or 6 teams they have left is to play Navy. All the other, so they avoid a lot. It's mainly Memphis, South Florida, and Navy that are going to cannibalize on each other. Whereas Tulane and North Texas don't have to play the same like amount of difficult opponents in that conference.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult for me to comment on this because I can't see the standings plus everyone's schedule at the same time. But I'm looking at Tulane right now, and obviously the Memphis game stands out. In terms of the likelihood that they're going to lose to any of these other teams, I don't know. I haven't seen Tulane play this year. Obviously, I know the results of all the games. But obviously the Memphis game is going to be difficult, and maybe Texas San Antonio. I don't know. Temple's better than they usually are. But let's say, you got to throw me a scenario. If Tulane beats Memphis, then they're going to the conference championship game. And then what do we have to look out for? We're going to have South Florida in the mix. Do they play Memphis?
South Florida plays Memphis in the regular season.
So it looks like it's fairly well, aside from Navy. But just looking at those 3 teams, it looks like those 2 games are going to decide who advances. And then we need to look at Navy. And Navy has FAU, North Texas, South Florida, Memphis, and Army. So they got to play both of them. So we're going to have a real mess if Navy splits with Memphis and South Florida, and let's say a Memphis beats Tulane, but South Florida, we could have a 4-way tie for first place with 1 loss. But that would actually be a good thing for the American, because they just don't want those. However, those 4 teams beat each other should work out okay for the American. They can't have a team that eventually wins the championship to lose to anybody else, meaning to get tripped up. They don't want a scenario where, let's say, for example, we've got South Florida already with, so all those teams have 1 non-conference loss, at least South Florida and Tulane do. Yeah, you would really have to navigate a specific situation for the American winner to have a marginal record, to let's say have a 3-loss champion. It's very unlikely to happen.
Right.
Because if you got 3 losses, that means you're going to lose 2 more games. Well, then you're not going to the conference championship game. So the winner of the the conference is going to have at the very most 2 losses.
Mm-hmm. And do you think the committee might still value a 2-loss G5 team over a 1-loss?
Oh, they
Mountain
better.
West? Yeah, they better. Yeah.
Yeah. If they don't do that, then I don't know what we're doing here.
We're record watching. That's what we're doing. Yeah. But
unless we could find somebody in the Mountain West, and I don't think we can, that would have a quality non-conference win that would justify that, and I don't think that exists in any way.
yeah, I think the problem is when you have to evaluate the 2 conferences, the one thing that sticks out is USF beating Boise State 34-7.
Sure.
And that just sticks out so much like a sore thumb. I don't know what the other results between the conferences are. I just know.
Yeah. Well, unless we've got a comparison between South Florida and Boise State, I think that that's just a data point in the American Conference's favor. But you can't, I don't think it should come down to, oh, San Diego State won the Mountain West and they're 11-1, and Tulane won the American Conference and they're 11-1. But we should select Tulane because South Florida beat Boise State 34-7. Well, that would be ludicrous.
Oh, obviously.
To rate the entire conference based on one result. Now, if it involves, should that be a data point or factor into metrics? Yes, absolutely, it should.
Mm-hmm.
But let's take San Diego State, for example. They lost to Washington State by 23 points, but they bounced back and beat Cal by 34. So there's the good and the bad for them, non-conference. But yeah, it would take us forever. There's just too many variables at this point. We've got 6 teams in play in the Mountain West right now. So too many schedules to look at.
Yeah, way too many. That's fair. And San Diego State, they still play Boise State. I don't think they play UNLV. Let me check.
But here's your saving grace here, Muley. Look at the overall record of these Mountain Conference teams. 2 losses, 1 loss, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's out of their contenders. They've all lost 1 to 2 games more than the teams we're comparing them to in the American.
Right.
The American Conference is going to have a better record, or at least the same record, in terms of the champion. I don't see a feasible way for the Mountain West to squeeze into the playoff.
Right. And I will say, I think if it's a team like Tulane, Memphis, or South Florida, if they win the American, I think it's almost it's never for certain. I don't know how it's going to play out at the Mountain West, but it's almost for certain that team from the American is going to go, because those 3 teams have beaten Power 4 teams. Memphis beat Arkansas, USF beat Florida, and then Tulane beat Duke. Now, I know Tulane got steamrolled by Ole Miss. They didn't complete a pass until right before the half. Like, they got obliterated, but they still beat who might just be a solid, good Duke team if they could just find ways to not keep shooting themselves in the foot. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Muley. Anything else?
I do have one last question. So, I'm curious in terms of, I definitely would have probably had this team ranked coming into this week. I don't get how it's complete lunacy to not have Washington ranked, just given the logjam of teams from like the 20 to 30 range,
Did I say that?
I believe. Well, I don't know if it's from the way you said it. I interpreted as it, but you're talking about the lunacy of the AP poll. And
Yes, those are
he
two
was
different
asking,
things. I
okay.
did not say that the AP's a bunch of lunatics because they didn't rank Washington in the top 25. I just said in general, the lunacy of that ranking system.
Mm-hmm.
That's a complete separate issue than me disagreeing that Washington should have been ranked.
Okay.
Two different things.
All
I
right.
don't think it's lunacy that Washington wasn't ranked. Yes, to your point, you can go from like 15 to 40 in the country right now and have teams all over the place and justify it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I could have Washington ranked before today, had Washington ranked 15th. I could have them ranked 35th and justify it. Yes.
I agree to an extent, yes. Maybe not quite 35th, but I definitely see in terms of at least making the argument. You're 100% right there.
Yeah.
But it's also just in terms of a solid argument, because that's all I heard this week. All I heard was a lot of Big Ten fans whining and complaining about Washington and how if it was SEC, they would most definitely get ranked and whatnot. Now, I definitely thought Washington has a good what you call it, a good argument to be ranked.
Well,
it was just
it doesn't matter now. They just lost, but
yeah.
Well, here's a apt comparison. Vandy was 5-1 before today. Were they ranked?
They were. I knew,
Okay.
which I knew you were going to mention. The two teams that really stick out was Vanderbilt and Missouri, right? They kind of benefited, and I know the reason why they got ranked, and it's kind of the nonsense of the AP poll where it's like you get ranked from beating a team. So like Vandy beats South Carolina when they were ranked number 12 and got ranked, and as a result. However, the AP poll doesn't then recorrect. They don't say, "Oh, well,
No,
South Carolina." Well, they go, "Oh, well, South Carolina's not as good as we thought. Maybe we should dock you down a few points." You know, they don't correct it, and it's not just with the SEC. It's with every team, right?
So here's where I will stick up for your typical Big Ten fan that you're saying was crying about Washington not being ranked. I didn't hear any of it, but that doesn't mean I'm on message boards, because I'm not. I've never been on a message board in my life. But I would love to go through the course of the last 10 to 20 years and go through every SEC team that has been 5-1. I would love to see if there's ever been one that's not been ranked. I doubt it.
Yeah, you can say that.
Well, I can't say for sure because I don't know that that's a fact, but I would be I'd put a rather large I'd put $100 on the fact that every 5-1 SEC team in the last 10 years has been ranked. I can almost guarantee that.
Okay. Which I'm not disagreeing. I think it's very unusual that Washington wasn't ranked. Well, but then when I look at the teams like Nebraska 5-1 and Cincinnati 5-1, and it was more, and Nebraska was put in there because they beat Cincinnati, Utah 5-1, and then Memphis was undefeated. Texas, I guess they put Texas in there because they beat a number 6 Oklahoma at the time. South Florida, Virginia, yeah.
I had all those teams ranked.
Mm-hmm.
Too. Everybody you just mentioned.
Even Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
After they beat Oklahoma, I did. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's the one criticism I was hearing a lot. But
and what most people don't understand or don't base rankings on is actually Texas's performance tonight. The way I rank will hurt them.
Absolutely.
So the conventional thinking is, well, Texas is 4-2, and if you get them ranked number 23, well, they just won. Doesn't matter who they played, how it looked, anything. Just, well, you don't drop them out of the poll because they won. They're 4-2. Now they're 5-2. No, they played a bad football team and they escaped. So I'm not saying that for sure I won't rank Texas, because it all depends on the dynamics of the teams around them. But most likely I won't. I'm going to downgrade their performance based on their performance. I'm going to downgrade their ranking, their rating, how I evaluate them.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I would have probably had Texas ranked after beating Oklahoma, and then especially with the teams below them that have won, I'd probably drop them out of the rankings for all I know.
I may.
I
I
might
just have to look at it.
Yeah, it's a lot. My whole point is whenever it goes against the SEC, no one says anything. Versus when it goes against someone else, then the first fingers that they point is to the SEC. Because, like, for example, Mississippi State started off 4-0 with a win over number 12 at the time, Arizona State, and throughout their whole undefeated stretch, of course, now they've fallen from that. They were never once ranked, despite beating a ranked team, and then even after, I want to say, week 6, when Mississippi State lost their first game, and it was like, I think it was to overtime in Tennessee. Was that their first SEC game?
Yes.
They still ranked Arizona State in the AP poll, but they didn't rank Mississippi State. And no one said anything. And that's what just, sorry to rant, but that's what just bashes my head so much. Well, it's like, you only care when it affects you, but you don't look at the whole overall picture. Yeah. And that's what I've been seeing, and maybe I should just stay off the end.
Yeah.
Stop reading anything related to football.
Check out my rankings, and if you have a disagreement, let me know. But I ranked Mississippi State after they beat Arizona State. That's
great. That's what I like to see. Yeah. Obviously they shouldn't be ranked now, but
it's I'm not going to say it's a simple process, but you can at least be reasonable. You just evaluate the teams based on the performance and the results, and not based on what you think is going to happen in the future or what you think would happen if two teams played, or some of the other nonsense that goes into these rankings.
Right. And I can't stand the people that just look directly at a record and say, okay, well, this team has this record, especially with the imbalance of schedules we have and the ways teams play. Like, for example, Auburn is like, what, a 4-loss team now, 3-4. They lost every game. Okay, they lost by 10 to Georgia technically, but they basically were close in every SEC game they played this season with crucial penalties going against them.
Yeah. Well, to add some nuance to the Georgia game, they got ripped off a touchdown that would have put them up 17-0.
Yeah, I think when I saw your stream, you also agreed that, like, even the middle of the football was above the plane.
Yes.
Too. Yeah.
It was clearly.
Yeah, it was like, it was so clear, and how it's happened is crazy. And that's also the thing too. I'll say one more thing before I go, is we were talking about how the SEC, there's no quite a league team to separate themselves, but there's a lot of good teams. If you look at the bottom of the SEC, Auburn has kept close to everyone they played, and who's been in a 1-score game in every conference game this season? Arkansas. They lost at 3 to Tennessee. They just lost at 3 to Texas A&M, and they lost by 6 to Ole Miss. Arkansas has been in close games, except for Notre Dame, which, I don't know. I've heard some inside thing that Bobby Petrino intentionally called a bad game because he could get Pittman fired or whatnot. I'm not going to go into that, but I'm just looking at the results. Notre Dame did destroy them, but other than that, they've kept it close too. And then Mississippi State's kept it close. Only really Kentucky has been bad. That's the only team where I'm just like, all right, you kind of suck. But Mississippi State too, Texas A&M did have a big lead on them. They increased in the second half, but
yeah, Kentucky kind of sucks, but they almost beat Ole Miss and Texas.
So. Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I've talked way too much. I
That's all right.
appreciate it, Mark.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a good one. You too. All right. We do have 2 games in play, and we've got Nevada and New Mexico, and the Lobos lead 24-22, and we've got Oregon State breaking free from Lafayette finally 31-13 in the 4th quarter. And yes, wouldn't this be something here? We have 2 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Florida State is down to Stanford 20-10. I don't know if I was Florida State that I would pay for Mike Norvell's plane trip back to Tallahassee. Just leave him there. Leave him at the stadium. Just leave him be. Wow. 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 All right. Let's welcome Chris in. Chris, what's going on tonight?
Ooh. Man, my ears are bleeding after that last video you had on. God bless. So let me address the G5 stuff. The G5 stuff doesn't even matter in college football anymore. I mean, they're going to get hosed in the first round by 40, whoever they play in the first round. Thanks for coming. Here's your check for playing. Goodbye. So I want to know your opinion, and I'm a Texas fan. This is Chris from East Texas. I used to call you a few years back. I took a year off, and I'm addressing this Steve Sarkisian offense thing that we got going on here in Austin. And I want to know your opinion on this. Sark's been at Texas for 5 years. In your opinion, in his 5 years at Texas, what year was his best offense that he's had in those 5 years from 2021 to this year, in your opinion?
Well, without looking at the stats and just trying to remember personnel and scores, just the offense. So
production. Yeah.
his first team was obviously 5-7, then they went 8-5, and then they played in the playoff, and then we had last year. Well, it's certainly not this year's offense. It's
no.
I would say that the best offense,
production wise,
sure. Man,
because I'll tell you.
Okay,
what
don't
mine
ask me
is,
a
being a
question.
Texas fan.
Continue to cut me
Well,
off.
I'll tell you mine after you give me your.
Okay, great.
Yours.
So again, I'd have to go back and look, but what sticks out to me about that 8-5 season is that they were winning almost every one of those games by double digits late in the game and blew it in the 4th quarter. I'm thinking obviously Bijan Robinson's the best back that they've had during all that time. And they had Sam Ehlinger, a quarterback who is certainly not a professional, but at the college ranks,
No. Sam Ehlinger was not the quarterback.
Not for the 8-5 team?
No, sir. That was Quinn Ewers' freshman year in 2022. That's the year you're thinking of.
Yeah, the 8-5 season. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Quinn Ewers' freshman year when they lost to Alabama at home.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, when the kid that transferred to Purdue hurt his ankle.
Hudson Card.
Yeah. So Hudson Card was the quarterback the previous season.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, without looking at the stats, obviously that would tell most of the story. I would say that Quinn Ewers' freshman year was probably the best offense.
How surprised would you be if I said that the year before that with Casey Thompson as the quarterback in the 2021 season was the best offensive season that Sark's had at Texas since he's been there?
Gotcha. The 5-17.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the best quarterback play he's had by quarterback rating, mind it, at Texas. And ever since then, the quarterback rating from Casey Thompson on to Quinn Ewers' freshman year, sophomore year, and junior year, and now Arch's year this year has gone down every year since then. Would you believe that?
Well, I could look it up pretty quickly, but since you're telling me it,
Well, you don't have to. I can tell you it's a truth.
Sure. That doesn't surprise me. I know that the quarterback play has not been outstanding, and I thought Casey Thompson was a pretty good quarterback. Thought it was a shame he left Nebraska, but sure.
Yeah, but so can I ask you? You know, I mean, we're college football fanatics. You know, we all. Steve Sarkis had this label next to him as the offensive QB guru. Like, he puts these quarterbacks into the NFL, like Mac Jones and Tua, etc. Why has the QB play at Texas gone down every year since he's been the head coach at Texas? With the 5-star talent that he's had, I mean, Quinn Ewers was a higher recruit coming out of high school than Vince Young was.
Sure.
And he was a seventh round draft pick. Arch was a higher recruit coming out of high school, coming out of the Louisiana. Look how he's playing. Why has the QB play under Sark at Texas diminished every year since Casey Thompson? Can you answer that for me? Because I can't get the answer out of anybody here in Texas about it. They all say that I'm nuts, crazy, but I'm like, look at the stats, look at the facts.
Sure.
I mean, the stats are the facts. Am I not right?
Yeah, I think that the stats are typically a good foundation for the rest of the conversation. That's going to tell you most of the story. And then you got to figure out, okay, are there certain games that skewed this, or were there other injuries involved, or, whatever the rest of the narrative might be. But yeah, the stats rarely lie.
So let's look at Sark as the OC at Alabama with Tua, with Mac Jones. And I think he was the OC with Bryce Young one year, wasn't he? I know he recruited him to Alabama.
Well, if Sark's first year was 2021, correct, with Texas?
With Texas, yes. That was Casey Thompson. That was Casey Thompson that year when he that was the Casey Thompson year. Yeah.
He would have quarterbacked, or he would have coached Bryce Young, but not when he was the starting quarterback. He still developed them at Alabama in 2020. Sure.
When he was at Alabama, why hasn't Sarkis, and he's supposed to be this QB dude, why hasn't that came into fruition at Texas with higher ranked recruits at quarterback like Quinn Ewers and Arch, who are higher ranked 5-stars than like Vince Young that came to Texas?
Yeah.
Why hasn't that came into fruition? Why are we stressing out games with scoring 20 points a game with Quinn as our quarterback last year, and this year, stressing out against Kentucky?
So you've made your point, and it's a rhetorical question. Obviously, I can't answer it because I'm not the person to answer it, because I don't run the Texas offense. But the next question is, so what do you do with this? If you're in charge, what do you do with this? Do you fire Steve Sarkisian? Do you have him hire an offensive coordinator? What do you do to fix the problem?
The latter.
Okay.
But his ego won't allow it.
So actually, in terms of total offense, Texas had a better total offense ranking the year that I cited in 2022 than they did in 2021. They were number 35 in total offense. They were 47 the Casey Thompson year.
But as far as quarterback play,
Okay. Well, you asked me when they had the best offense. So actually, that was the
yeah.
answer.
But I mean, like in quarterback play, the better QBR rating.
I'm just
Casey
correcting.
Thompson.
I'm just
Yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're spitting.
Yeah.
But Casey Thompson, out of all the quarterbacks that Sark has coached at Texas, Casey Thompson in that 2021 season has the highest quarterback rating of any quarterback he's ever had at Texas.
Yes, you've made that abundantly clear. So basically, what are you going to do about this? You're going to hire an offensive coordinator, okay? Or that's what you would do. Okay.
I feel like I'm the only guy that's out there like seeing the issue. I mean, I know there's other people out there, but they're not really like outspoken about it. Like Sark needs to give up the play calling issues. Like, dude, you scored 16 points against Kentucky tonight. And you're supposed to be this quarterback guru guy. You've had two of the top quarterbacks coming out of high school ever, and you're not developing them at all. Why are we giving Sark this label of being this quarterback guru when he's not doing it?
Well, his last two offenses have been pretty darn good. Number 9 and number 21 in the country.
In what years?
The last two seasons. Their total offense figures are number 9.
Because last year he struggled to score 20 points against the top ranked teams that he played against. Georgia, Arizona State, Ohio State, and barely got to 21 against Florida a couple of weeks ago and didn't get to it tonight against Kentucky. Like, there's a trend going on with this offense that's not clicking, and everybody gives Sark this label, and I feel like I'm one of the only Texas fans that's like, he's not living up. He's not living up to the label that he was supposed to be when we hired him as a head coach.
So you should call our Texas guys, see what they have to say about it. Call our Texas guys on Monday night. I think it's Monday night, whatever night we've got our Texas show. Yeah, I see the Texas offense this year. It's pretty bad. I think you bring up a great point, and I think you, based on the scoring offense, you're correct. And Arch Manning gets a ton of blame for it, obviously, and the offensive line play has not been as good. But I appreciate you being here, man.
All right.
Thanks, Chris. All right, let's keep rolling here with the voice of college football. And we got Luke showing up. Luke, what's going on tonight?
Hey, Mark. I want to say first, if you're Florida State, when you get back to Tallahassee, I'd leave Mike Norvell at the Tallahassee unemployment office. I just leave him right there at the front door because obviously it's not working. But really what I want to talk about is the Hawaii game today. I was pretty impressed with the way we won today, knowing that, it wasn't a pretty win like we've had in the last 2 weeks, but knowing that we were able to go into Colorado State and beat them, and Colorado State's not the best team in the Mountain West, but altitude does play a factor into it. I looked it up. Their stadium is 5,000 feet above our stadium. So we were playing at a much greater disadvantage. And we looked really good in Alejandro, third straight 300-yard game with 3 touchdowns. Actually, the last 2 he had 400, but he's been playing really good. Do you think it could shake out with UNLV losing today where Hawaii pulls into a top spot?
The top spot in the conference?
Yeah, in Mountain West.
Well, you don't need me to figure that out for you. All you have to do is look at the standings. That'll tell you the story. That's not an opinionated statement to make. It's fact.
Do you think they have a shot at? Because I know Memphis lost today, but do you think they have a shot at? Like, do you think the Mountain West has a shot at the college football playoff?
No. Oh, do they
No.
have a shot? Yes,
A
there's
shot.
a shot. They have a puncher's chance. But I don't know if you saw the call or heard the call from the American Conference guy. They called about the American Conference about a half hour ago. We went through all the American Conference schedules. The problem is, and then I looked at the Mountain West, is that if you look at the overall records of the teams in play in the Mountain West, they all have either 1 or 2 losses. The American Conference counterparts have 0 or 1 loss, and they just have a better resume collectively.
Right. But if theoretically, if both,
this Luke, just a second, then I'll let you go on this one. What would be the best case scenario if you could carve out a path for the best case scenario for a Mountain West Conference team and the worst case scenario for a conference champion out of the American Conference, and compare those two? I'd love to hear it. And that would be your scenario that you would need.
I think in best case scenario for a Mountain West team is all 3 or 4 of the American Conference teams have at least 1 or 2 losses by the end of the season.
Okay.
And
but the problem is that in the worst case scenario, a team that goes to the conference championship game in the American has 2 losses. Well, then they have to win the conference. Somebody has to win the conference championship. So the conference champion is not going to have more than 2 losses, because we just went through it and everybody in play has either 0 or 1 loss in the conference. So nobody's going to make the conference championship game with 3 losses. So you're going to have 2 losses out of your conference champion in the American, and you're at least going to have 1 loss out of the Mountain West. And I don't know how the resume is going to supersede the group of 5 or the American.
Right.
That's your problem.
Yeah, because the Mountain West, because who was it that lost in the Mountain West today? That was the big one. Oh, UNLV. That was the one. I thought UNLV was going to win that game today versus Boise State. But because looking at this, Hawaii plays UNLV. So if Hawaii beats UNLV, that puts UNLV at 2 losses. That pretty much knocks UNLV out.
Yeah.
If Hawaii beats San Diego State, then that puts San Diego State at 1 loss, as well as San Diego State also plays Boise State. So that could be 2 losses right there, possibly. So Hawaii could play Boise State, and if, let's say by a long shot, Hawaii wins Mountain West, they're not going to make the college football playoff because the American has a much better resume than them.
I can make this very easy. If all we're talking about is the college football playoff, the team with the best out-of-conference win in the Mountain West, I believe, is San Diego State, who beat Cal 34-0. Now, they also lost to Washington State, but they've got the best non-conference win. And if they run the table and go 11-1, then you're going to be comparing San Diego State at 11-1 as the Mountain West, or 12-1 as the Mountain West Conference champion, against, at worst, an 11-2 American Conference winner.
Right.
There you go.
And then I want to.
That's the best you can do.
What was today the most exciting or shocking game?
Shocking. Was there anything shocking? There was nothing shocking to me. I was a bit surprised that Texas was messing around with Kentucky in overtime, and I saw the stats late in that game. I only watched overtime. When I saw they went to overtime, I flipped to watch overtime. I was surprised that Texas got dominated in that game statistically. Shoot, something else came to mind that was somewhat surprising. Can't think of it. Yeah, there was really nothing shocking the entire day. I think Auburn seemed to get ripped off again.
I think what was it? UAB was 24.5-point underdogs.
Well, they beat Memphis. Yeah.
And they beat Memphis. I think that one was the one that shocked me the most.
Yeah. That would be it right there.
But yeah, well, that's all I want to talk about. Thank you.
Well, thanks for being here, man. Yeah, sorry for you Mountain West hopefuls. It's a very, very narrow path to the playoff. All right. It looks like we're taking our final call of the night. We got Tom checking in. Tom, what's going on?
Corey, or this is Mark. I had to get off the Hawkeye of the Storm because there's
okay. I was going to say you get the wrong channel.
There's too damn many people I can't get on. Hey, the Hawkeye win today, right?
Yes.
The Hawks were terrible.
They were terrible. They won.
Oh yeah. Threw an interception, give them 7 points to start with, missed a field goal in the first quarter, and then go for a 66-yard field goal at the end of the first half to give them another 7 points after the blocked field goal. Spots them 14 points to start with. Analytics say you don't win that ball game.
Especially if you're Iowa.
Right. I can't believe Kurt Ferentz went for that field goal at the end of the first half. Mr. Conservative.
Yes. So,
but anyway, they pulled out the win.
Yeah, I got to get all my information from you, Tom, because I did not see one play of the game.
Yeah, but here's the bad thing about this whole deal, and this is what I was nervous about.
Yeah.
I love to beat Franklin, and I'm really disappointed that he got fired before the Hawkeye ball game.
Yeah, you didn't get to savor that.
Yeah, it would have been a lot sweeter, and I hope he does go to Wisconsin so that we can beat him some more.
Well, I'm guessing that you would, at least for a year or two.
Exactly.
I don't know about after that. We'd have to wait and see.
I'm not a big Franklin fan.
Is there any particular reason why?
I don't. I'm just not a fan of his. I'm going to keep it at that.
Okay. Well, I'm not a fan either, but
yeah,
when I say that, it means I'm completely neutral. Like I could care less about James Franklin.
Yeah,
like I'm not. I don't not like the guy.
He's a little bit arrogant and he likes to whine a lot. And yeah, I love it when he gets beat.
That sounds like a lot of coaches to me. Arrogant and like to whine.
Yeah.
I hear that.
Well, I used to love it when Notre Dame got beat, but I actually love it more when Penn State gets beat now. Okay. And I don't have anything wrong against Penn State. It's just Franklin.
Well, he's no longer there, so you can stop rooting against Penn State, I guess.
And so now I see you got the stats of our really nice passing stats for the day.
Yeah, beautiful. Well done.
Yeah. I was a little worried they scored a touchdown to take the lead, 1 point lead, with 3 minutes and 54 seconds left. And the Iowa defense just isn't quite as good as it has been.
Yep.
I was a little bit worried, but they pulled it out. So, yeah, it's a good win to savor. Now,
absolutely.
I know that there's a lot of teams out there that say this, but they weren't that far from beating Indiana. And they weren't that far from beating Iowa State that this team could have been unbeaten, which I understand there's a lot of times it comes down to just a field goal in these games.
Well, they also could have lost to Penn State. They could have lost to Rutgers.
Yep, exactly.
So they're playing an Iowa kind of season.
Yeah. And man, you really got after them Nebraska fans last
No,
night.
you heard that. Well, I just had heard enough. I usually would lock in on those two games. I was actually looking forward to those two Friday night games because we usually don't get that quality of games on Friday night. But then I had some other plans pop up. So I was gone all night. I came home and I thought, I'm not doing a show because I didn't see any of this. But actually, I was texting back and forth with Corey. And Corey's like, you need to go live. Because I'm like, I'm sick of hearing from some of these fans. And specifically, again, if you're a Nebraska fan out there, I love you. And you may be level-headed, and I expect you to be a fanatic because that's what fan comes from. But for goodness sake, win a game. Just beat someone decent before we start talking about going to the playoffs and all these other things.
Well, I mean, Mark, I meant to call you during the off season.
Yeah.
I'm not a big playoff guy as far as wanting Iowa to go to the playoffs or anything. That's great if we're ever that good. Do you understand? But what disappoints me is we make these conferences bigger. The games that I live for is the playing the Nebraskas, the Wisconsins, the Minnesotas, the Michigans, the old traditional Big Ten. I'm the same age as you.
Yeah.
And the 80s and early 90s were the best of college football growing up. And those games were big every week because they were rivalries.
Yeah.
And I really don't care whether we play USC or not. I mean, it's great for a bowl game. But during the season, a USC-Oregon game, Washington, it's just a non-conference game. It really doesn't mean much to me.
Yeah, I get that.
And I mean, I'm getting old, and that's just the way it is. And I understand college football moves on, but I like to play the Purdue's, the Illinois, and we have friends from those schools that we grew up with.
Yeah.
And it means something on Saturday.
Sure.
I don't have too many friends at USC.
I love the case you're making. You're right.
Mark, I was supposed to be in your home state today, but we didn't make it there. I was going to go to the big Eldora car race.
Okay. Well, I hope nothing went wrong.
No. The fellow that was going to go with me couldn't make it, and I wasn't going to go by myself. But
okay.
Yeah, I've never been there, but hear a lot about it. And I was hoping to make my first drive. But anyway, we got to see Iowa beat Penn State. And Mark, I enjoy everything you do. Listen to a lot of your shows. I get you about every night. So
I appreciate
keep
that,
it up.
Tom.
Well, I can't talk about Iowa State this week because they didn't play.
And I'm going to have to check out this Iowa Penn State game before I talk to Corey on Tuesday. So I'm well educated, but I just I don't have Peacock, and there are a couple other games tonight I wanted to see. So I was fine with that.
All right, I'll let you go.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Good to see you. All right. Kai is telling us that we got to take his call. So I take my orders from Kai. I'm kind of the front man. I'm kind of the head figure here, the figurehead of the voice of college football. But Kai calls the shots. So Kai said take his call. So here we are.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Of course. How you doing?
Doing good. Do you think that the Ohio State defense is the best in the country?
I tend to, yes.
If you had to say, based on previous defenses from previous years, where would you put this defense?
I think the best defense that I can remember seeing in recent college football memory is the Georgia 2021 defense. The Alabama defense of 2015 in particular, although there are a ton of Alabama defenses that would be in that realm. And it's kind of difficult to go back before, let's say, 2011, 12, 13 in there and really compare defensive numbers and performances. Not that those guys weren't great and didn't translate to the NFL and become some of the great NFL players that we've seen in the last, 5 or 10 years, but just because of the proliferation of the passing game, it's difficult to compare. When Greg McElroy's throwing for 50 yards in a BCS championship game in 2009, it's kind of difficult to make a comparison there between that and what's been going on for the last 10 or 12 years. But those are the two defenses that come to mind. The Clemson 2018 defense, although they did not play a gauntlet of a schedule once they got to the postseason, they definitely showed up. They basically shut out Notre Dame and held Alabama to 2 touchdowns. So this Ohio State defense, I would not put in the league of those. I don't think they have a devastating pass rush in particular.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I thought that having Matt Patricia wasn't going to go as good as I thought it was going, but it's
you
gone
and a lot
pretty
of
well.
people.
Yeah. All right. I'll be quick since I know you're getting tired.
No, you're fine.
Shout out to Hawaii, as always. And their 2 losses aren't as bad as people might think, because the Fresno State game, they lost in a 2-point conversion attempt to send it to overtime, I was pretty sad about that. And then the Arizona game, we were missing our quarterback. I mean, that loss was pretty bad, but considering that we didn't have our QB.
Okay. I'm glad that you clarified that, because I got to say that since there's been some Hawaii talk on the channel here for the last several weeks, that I, in my mind, keep going back to that Arizona game, and all I knew was the final score. I didn't know anything else about that game.
All right.
Well, appreciate you being here. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
All right. It would not be a Voice of College Football post game on a Saturday night without the obligatory check-in on Hawaii. Got to do that now. See, I would post some kind of analysis on the Colorado State game. Maybe I should go and watch I'm not going to watch the game. Sorry, I'm not going to sit for 3 hours and watch Colorado State and Hawaii. What I typically do late night is work on my top 25 that actually makes sense, and check out like those 12 to 15 minute highlight packages of games like, what games did I not see today that I wanted to see? Penn State and Iowa. Believe it or not, UCLA and Maryland played down to the wire. Want to see what happened to Clemson, SMU, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Point being that I would watch the 12 to 15 minute breakdown of Colorado State and Hawaii. I should test this out. I'm going to watch the highlight package, read the stats, the box score, look at the recap, educate myself on this game, post some kind of analysis on it, and see how many people watch it. I'm guessing like 150. I should test that out. And Hawaii merch. Did you hear my update on Hawaii merch? I may not have made this because I did promise that I would look into it. However, we do have an issue with already maxing out our merch opportunities, the number of merch that we can provide. Therefore, we would have to ditch someone, which, hey, I'm all for high performers getting the nod. So let's see here. If we pull up the merch, and I'm just having a little fun here because I don't know that we could actually do this, meaning that we could ditch one of these. One of these other teams, but who would we ditch? Alabama, Arkansas. Arkansas is in the lead right now. Clemson, Colorado, Florida, FSU, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa. Illinois is a close second. Iowa State, LSU, Miami, Michigan, Missouri. I can't see us selling a ton of Missouri Voice of College Football. We could be around 10 years from now, and I would not be surprised if we sold no Missouri Voice of College Football merch. Nebraska, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Oregon, Penn State, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, USC, and West Virginia. Yeah, maybe we kick out Arkansas or Missouri or Illinois, and we give that spot to Hawaii. I'll find out if we can do that. Nolan says, drop Oregon. Dusty says, can Auburn get Lane Kiffin? Well, that was the talk of last offseason. And apparently they can't, or they could not then. That there was a lot of talk of Lane Kiffin to Auburn. Or was that Lane Kiffin to Auburn before Hugh Freeze? Maybe I'm mixing that up. Maybe Lane Kiffin would have a different look at it. There's going to come a point in time in which Lane Kiffin is going to consider his job at Ole Miss and either think, I'm blessed, this is great, I make a ton of money, they love me here, and I go 9-3 a lot. And that's okay, because I'm a changed man and I've mellowed out a little bit, my family likes it here, etc., 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 etc. Or Lane Kiffin's going to say, I can't get over the hump at Ole Miss, I got to go somewhere else. And they could convince him possibly at Auburn because they could hold up SEC championships and national championships and say, we have displayed the ability in the modern era to get to national championship games. So maybe Dusty. Right now, historically, of course, Auburn's a better program. And of course, Auburn's considered a better program. And right now, because of the weight going Auburn's direction historically, but Ole Miss has been a better program the last 5 years. It's really a toss-up between Auburn and Ole Miss in terms of the better program. Unless we really were able to go behind the curtain and see what's available, where are the resources, who has the greater donors, who has the potential to really break the bank. I don't know that. I would guess it's pretty comparable. Bobby is telling us that Auburn's politics make it toxic, much like Texas. Luke says, Voice of College Football jerseys for the Hawaii kicker. We would have to charge more for those jerseys just to get his name on the back of the jersey. And then we would have to pay him NIL for that. Kanoy is saying that Penn State may get Lane Kiffin. I brought that up after the firing myself. All right, folks, we do appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Please check out the merch, VOCFB, Voice of College Football, VOCFB.com. And you just heard me read off all the many teams that we have represented. So you can merge your favorite team and your other favorite brand, the Voice of College Football, and check out the merch. It is quality stuff. That I promise you. Thank you for being here. We will be back with a Monday night show. That's on SG1 Sports. I know it's a bit confusing, but there's a reason for it. SG1 at the Voice of College Football. That's where we do the Monday show. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday here. So the next time you will see me, unless there's some kind of breaking news on Sunday, will be on the late night show on SG1 at the Voice of College Football. The ladies of college football will be here at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on this very channel. Again, please give us a like, please subscribe, and please check out vocfb.com. And one more note before you all leave me. The Amazon link's in the description section of this video and all the videos when you shop on Amazon. Not telling you to do so, but when you do shop on Amazon, please use the link that we provide. Think of it this way. You're spending, let's say, $100 on Amazon. You are sending $100 to Amazon, right? In this scenario, you use our link. You send about $5 to the Voice of College Football and $95 to Amazon. Do they need all that money? Really? You send 3%, 5%, 8%, depends on the item, to the Voice of College Football. How about that? So please use the Amazon link that we provide. It's in the description section. I know you're going to forget it, even with good intentions, because I do the same thing all the time. So please grab the link, put it somewhere where you will remember it. All right, folks. Good night to Luke and Tuki G and Tony and Kanoy and Kai and E. Gibson. We thank you for being here. Simpson's here as well. Kanoy is going to ask for Voice of College Football merch for Christmas. Love it. All right. Love doing this show. Love being here with all of you. And we will soak in the college football and spit out a top 25 that actually makes sense. And we will see you soon.